Attractive teachers overheard it. Did you know which students had a crush on you? And what is the strangest or most inappropriate thing you overheard said about you? I was an average looking high school teacher. That's really all it takes. I had more than one student say I had a nice butt within earshot of me. I was told by other students that so and so likes you and I'd only notice it after they mentioned it, but then it was obvious. I had one girl pull the I'll do anything for a higher grade. I had one girl in a 6-inch skirt lift a leg to my eye level. I was sitting to show me her new shoes. I was spanked on 2 separate occasions. The list goes on. Kids SRE crazy. The strangest thing I ever overheard about myself was while I was teaching at an all-boys private high school. One of them whispered to another, "She's so chill. She never gets bitchy. You can never tell when she's on her period." As a student majoring in secondary ed, it is my goal to be like you. This isn't from a student, but in my freshman year of high school I walked in on the entire baseball coaching staff discussing the various ways they wished to frick the Spanish teacher. Yep, throwaway account here. I've had students spread their legs while wearing short skirts in front of me. One girl even pulled her skirt so far up that from my view it looked like she was sitting there in her underwear. Of course, being a new teacher I had absolutely no idea how to deal with this situation. Most common is girls that will seductively suck on their pens while staring into my soul. Even had one student put a hand on my upper thigh while asking me a question at my desk. This all happened last year when I took over for a history class since the teacher was out for the entire year. I was 23 years old teaching junior seniors. It was freaking heck. When I tried to tell the other teachers what was going on, the female teachers would all just laugh and talk about how I really got thrown to the wolves, while the older male teachers would just talk about how lucky I was. I'd also be lying if I said I never had some perverted fantasies on lonely nights at home. But I'm only freaking human. I'm pretty dense, so I don't always notice when people are checking me out. However, my students have to fill out evaluations at the end of the semester, and those usually give me an insight into their thoughts. Q. What did you like best about the Tay? A. I liked that she was hot. The worst part is that some student worker has to type up all those awkward responses. That worker student was probably laughing really hard. I would have. At my high school, the hot art teacher that all the guys lusted after married the hot biology teacher that all the girls lusted after. An entire school of broken hearts. Not a teacher, but I have a friend who's one. When I was out of work for a while, I went to help her out in her grade 1 classroom. I played the guitar and helped her out with the music segments of her class. One day a little 6-year-old came up to me and said, "Do you have my phone number?" I said, "No, I don't have it." She said, "Oh, I have a trampoline, you know." I said, "That's awesome." She said, "You could come and jump on it sometime if you wanted to." Innuendo aside, it turned out I actually knew her mom from a few years back. I went over, we jumped on the trampoline, then went to Dairy Queen for ice cream. TLDR. 6-year-old asked me on a date. It happened. I'm a male in my 20s and was a teacher at a public middle school, where the hormones are ranging and the social boundaries are completely non-existent. I had 12 and 13-year-old girls doing things as innocent as asking me to walk them to class, or eat lunch in my classroom with me, to more explicit weird like trying to touch my face or hair, leaving me notes and pottery, asking for my phone number and Facebook, and asking almost daily. It was Mr. C. Bear, "Do you have a girlfriend? I know someone who has a crush on you." A lot of the students also had mothers close to my age, so there was some attempted matchmaking by my students as well. Parent-teacher conferences were weird. It was oddly flattering though. If only women in their 20s were so upfront and direct. Thankfully nothing negative came of it. I loved my job and had full support of the other staff and administration who were aware of the attention I was getting. Unfortunately, due to district budget cuts, I found myself unemployed, so I'm leaving in 3 weeks to teach in Korea. Not me. My older brother used to propose to one of the cute English teachers at our high school every single day. 5 years later when I got to her class, she remembered him very fondly. Turns out she had been going through a terrible divorce that year and his daily proposals made her laugh. I thought she was gonna say yes. I had a girl sit at my desk to use my computer during lunch. She announced to the other kids in the room, "I'm behind Mr. Q's desk. Usually I'm under it. I hate typing on my phone." I hate people who tell the truth, because there isn't a single sexual relationship in here, and if I was going to lie on the internet I would definitely have had a raging orgy with 4 just turned 18 quadruplets. I've taught in New Zealand and now I'm teaching in the States. It's very obvious when a kid has a crush on me or is just checking me out. I'm constantly getting boob stared and seeing smirks between boys overhearing comments. The things I've just overheard? Dang. She's a sexy bee. Yeah, that's right. Walk away. I love that view. And things like that. The most inappropriate? That would be when a 16-year-old yelled out, "Hey miss, I like your tea," as I walked by his classroom. "Hey miss, I like your tea." Sounds like Jonah from Summer Heights High. Was an English teacher in Japan at a high school. I had the foreign hot factor going for me. Plus I was 21, 22 at the time, so by far the youngest teacher at the school. When I first started, there was a comedian in one of my best classes. Genuinely funny, even in English, which is rare for a 16-year-old learning a language. I only taught him his first year, but would see him around the hallways afterwards. He regularly asked me what my favorite food was, and if I would like to go get it with him. I'd say, maybe next time. He eventually asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend in a film his class was making for a field trip. Of course I said yes, and the scene involved him introducing me to his friends in class, me linking arms with him, smiling and saying, "Hi, I'm Quet Slithithid." Another time, I had one freshman student run up to me dragging his friend, and proceed to try and tell me in English his friend had a crush on me, only he didn't know how to say it in English, so it came out like my friend. He grabs his friend in a headlock, my friend, you, then proceeded to ask the other students around how to say, "My friend has a crush on you" in English. I laughed, pretended not to understand. The friend was tomato red by then, and said I had to get going, and to have a nice day. As an exchange student in Japan, I had the same thing happened to me. Girls were literally all over my friends and I don't consider myself too handsome. I'm certainly not George Clooney. As a student teacher, I walked into our local high school to observe a special needs class. One of the regular high school students told me I should come and observe him instead, if you know what I mean. I also had a 6th grade boy in the class where I did my long student teaching experience who was in love with me. He'd sit in the front row, propping up his head on his hand, starting at me with his mouth hanging open. All the kids teased him about it, but he didn't care. It was cute. I used to babysit a little boy that would get dressed up for me whenever I came over. He was really smooth about it though. If he knew he was going to be babysat, his mom said he would dress nice for the whole day to not arouse suspicion. He would only play his video games and do really non-active things so he didn't get his clothes messed up. His tell was that he combed his hair, which he never did without being told. He was the little brother of my best friend at the time, so I knew what he was really like. But it's like when I babysat him, it was date night or something. We would play board games, and when I had him put his PJs on, they would be the really nice 2-piece button-up ones. He never tried anything, thankfully, but I thought it was so dang cute. I'm an English teacher in a foreign country, so that alone probably has a lot to do with the attention I get from students, about 90% of whom are male. I'm a girl. I'm also the youngest teacher in the school by far. I currently have about 100 friend requests from students on Facebook. I get messages from at least a student or two every day. To top it off, my students think I don't understand their language at all, so they often make comments thinking I can't understand them. My first day, I overheard one student ask his friend, "Well, what do you think of the new English teacher?" His friend looked me up and down, smiled, and responded, "Oh yes, I am very satisfied." How I kept a straight face, I'm really not sure. Had a teacher in high school who met up with students after they graduated and slept with them. I heard he got fired and arrested this past year because he decided to take a chance on one of his current students and asked her out to coffee and back to his place. Unbeknownst to him, she was lesbian and went and told the administration right away. Halfway to the bottom and we got us something good. I teach in Indonesia. I have had many students ask me out after class, show cleavage during class, or keep their legs spread while sitting. I don't think it's because I am overly attractive, but because I am white. Can confirm. I live in Asia and white folk are all P magnets. I guess it's like a Pokemon. The rarer someone is, the more appealing it seems. Ugly middle school teacher here with a hot wife. A group of girls took a picture of me with my wife and put it on Instagram with the caption, "How did he get her? I ain't even mad though." I'm not a teacher but a student at an alternative school where my math teacher is a straight 11 out of 10. For reference, see Henry Cavill aka Man of Steel. Since it's mostly older people going back to finish high school in my class, he gets shamelessly hit on and flirted with constantly. One day the same usual group of girls were trying to flirt with him and asking him if he has kids, a wife or a special lady. When he says no, the ringleader of the dumb B group winks at him and says, "Well then how about taking me for a spin?" To which he replies, "I don't think my boyfriend would like that very much." He turned beet red and left him alone after that. A couple weeks later I stayed after class to do some work for extra credit and we were chatting away about Halloween and I asked him if he was going to do a dorky couple's costume with his boyfriend. He looked at me, laughed and said, "I'm actually straight. I just wanted those girls to pay attention to the lesson and not my dashing good looks. Keep it between us, okay?" I think he handled it pretty well. Except now there's a couple guys that hit on him. That guy is genius. Yo, Ms. Can he esper through mirror? You look nice today. Yo, Ms. Can he esper through mirror? My 18th birthday is next month. You don't understand, Ms. Can he esper through mirror? I got it bad for you. Yo. And the all-time favorite. Hey, Ms. Can he esper through mirror? I had a dream about you last night. Yo, Ms. Can he esper through mirror? My 18th birthday is next month. Oh god. I think my math teacher knew. He was also the wrestling coach and he told us if we ever wanted girls to be attracted to us we should get a job as a teacher. His quote was, "You could be freaking Quasimodo and high school girls would still think you're cute." I wish it had been like this when I was actually in high school. I meant to say Quasimodo, but to the guy who got gold, you're welcome for the mistake. I don't consider myself a hard teacher, but I constantly find students staring at my chest, and some students have even stood beside me attempting to see cleavage. I don't even wear revealing shirts. Consequently, I consciously monitor the way I stand, sit, interact to avoid any issues. Never being in a classroom alone with a student. Avoiding conversations considered sexual, etc. Should probably cut back on braless Thursday teach. Weirdest thing said to me, "I want you to twerk on my face." He got sent out of class for that one. Being a young attractive female secondary school teacher, you learn to perfect the not happening look. Although, most sexual advances come from students who are intentionally trying to get a rise out of you, and are doing it to be edgy and impress their peers. The ones who have a genuine crush are harder to shoot down, because they will take it much more personally. I'd be gentle but firm. Tell them it's not happening, and that there are wonderful people their own age they should consider instead. Honestly, on my part, the idea of thinking about a student sexually is just weird. Whilst their bodies are mature, in the senior classes, their minds need so much more growing. They hold the sexual attraction of a tomato to me. Them tomatoes. I was teaching organic chemistry last year, was 25 and I've come to realize that I'm quite attractive. Plus being a swimmer doesn't hurt. Anyways, one female student would come to my office hours to shamelessly flirt with me under the pretense that she needed extra help. Turns out she did. I told her that I would only continue meeting with her if she came prepared with all her work done, in her handwriting. So she did, moved from near the bottom of the class to getting the second highest score on the final exam. I flirted back every so often, though very subtly. I never told her that I was gay. TLDR. Student spent so much time flirting with me that she accidentally raised her grade through hard work. Student here who harassed a teacher for 4 years in high school. I constantly told him he should leave his wife and we should run away together. Recently I sent him a Facebook message apologizing because what's funny to a 15-18-year-old girl is cruel and unusual punishments to a married 30-something biology teacher. Student teaching at a junior high, 23-year-old male, and I guess I'm attractive? The girls are flirty with me. A few have asked for my number, which I would not give out, obviously. Some show cleavage when I am trying to help them with an assignment, or do that little thing girls do where they hit a guy's shoulder and giggle. Main thing is I just have to watch how I interact with them. They will take any act of kindness as an OMG I think he likes any moment. So I just have to be careful and remember that I am their teacher, not their friend. Some of the boys will kind of defend me and call girls out on it. I guess bro code has no generation gap. They're probably just sick of you junior cock-blocking them. When I was in college, I had my first field observation class. For non-teachers, it's not exactly student teaching, but I'd go to the school 2-3 times a week and observe, help the teacher with grading, making copies, paperwork stuff. And I think I had to do like 5 lessons over the course of the semester or whatever. Anyway, I was a sophomore in college, so around 19 years old. I was placed in a class of 12th graders in their last 9 weeks of school. So 17, 18, possibly 19. These kids were very close to my age. One day, a kid came up to me and said, "So how do you like it at your college?" I told him I liked it and he said, "You know, I'm on campus like every weekend. You should let me take you out sometime." I was like, I don't think so, and kind of ran away to do something else. It was pretty awkward dealing with this kid for the rest of the semester, but it gave me a fun story about the time a student asked me out. Another kind of funny story was from my first year of teaching high school. I didn't have a classroom, so I had to travel around to different classrooms during the epic traffic jam that is high school hallways at class change. I look young, I guess. At least people tell me that all the time. And one day when I was walking through the hall between bells, I heard 2 girls talking behind me. I overheard one girl say to the other, "Hey, is that girl a teacher?" The other one rudely and snarkily replied to her friend, "I don't know, but she sure dresses like one," and they giggled bitchily. I didn't say anything, but the thought that went through my head was, did I just get bullied? I think I just got bullied. The bee in me would probably say, "Why yes I am, and here's a detention." Shameless brag. My wife is a hot ex-teacher. She taught 8th grade English at a school with a rougher student body. I am talking drug dogs in classrooms. To make a long story short, one day she turned around in class to see a kid jerking it openly at his desk, with tissues and lotion sitting on his desk, completely shamelessly. To date, this is my second favorite story from her first year of teaching. First story involves parents accusing a German Shepherd of being racist when it found pot in their kid's pocket. I'm not especially attractive or anything, but when I was in Korea teaching ESL, I was the token white guy at a school in a small town called Jeonju. The principal would actually lend me out to other schools so they could brag to the parents that they had a white guy on staff. I went to this one school once a week, and the kids would freak out whenever they saw me, pushing and shoving each other to get closer and give me candies or whatever. When I was sitting in the office, they'd all be pressed at the window fighting to get a look at me. Once one of them played a joke on their friend and opened the office door and pushed her in there with me, slamming the door behind her. So it was just her and I in there, and a crowd of kids laughing their asses off outside. The kid was so embarrassed that she just started pounding on the door for them to let her back out. It was like they'd pushed her into the gorilla's cage at the zoo. Gorilla's cage in a zoo. I LOL'd at that. I just imagine her pounding the door and she turns around and you're standing there grinning like a maniac. It is obvious which students like me. They giggle and try to flirt. They walk by my class and say so and so likes you. Some students I don't even know walk by me and say hi and giggle. The mothers make it worse. They tell their daughters how cute or hot I am, which excites these teenage girls more. One student told me she can't tell me what her mom said, that it's embarrassing for her. I have been asked to prom. The worst was a student reaching into my pocket. I wrote her up for attempting to steal from me. I knew that she was trying to get a hold of my Johnson. Her schedule was changed and she now has another teacher. I seriously have thought about quitting. It's uncomfortable when students, or anybody, keep making unwanted advances. I teach at a high school. Casually reaches into your pocket. There was a really hot teacher who taught French, which made it so much worse. And all the guys used to check her out constantly. At the end of high school, all the teachers put on a play jokingly ripping into the students, and when she came on, All the guys start wolf whistling like crazy. One dude even shouted, "Get your baps out." How did she respond? Blew a kiss into the crowd. So yeah, she knew. And she embraced it well. My French teacher was an 80-year-old nun. My wife is a teacher and she's attractive. I know I'm supposed to say that, but it's true. She has literally no idea. Just because the oldest kids are only 13/14, she believed herself to be safe. I had to point out that 13-year-old boys are practically obsessed with boobs and butts. This all came about when she asked me if a dress she was wearing was too short, and my response was, "It's fine by me, but not to be surprised if the older boys are suddenly very interested in walking up the stairs behind her." 13/14 is probably worse than HS age when it comes to boys. I remember what I was like when I was that age. Commenting in an Ask Reddit thread with 1,200 comments already is kind of pointless. But why not? If you're male, between the ages of 22 and 35, and not completely unfortunate looking, being in an authority position over high school girls guarantees that they'll throw themselves at you. Especially if you're a teacher that they work with for multiple years, like band directors, coaches, etc. I'm a band director. A lot of my non-teacher friends usually react the same ways I see in this thread. "Nixie, or you ever get with one," etc. Reactions like that are how you know they're not teachers. Getting advances from students like that is super awkward, and more than a little scary. I have multiple colleagues that have had accusations leveled against them. Some of them I have no idea how to judge, but 2 of them I know extremely well, know the students involved, and know with 100% certainty that there is not a chance anything happened. Like, zero. Absolutely false. One of those guys barely managed to escape with his career. The other one didn't. He was one of the best band directors I knew, and now he's working in the business world, and hasn't picked up an instrument in years. Absolutely freaking tragic. So, you make dang sure you're never in a position where there's no witnesses. The office door is always open if a kid is talking to you. If a student's parent is late picking them up, and you would be the only one left with them, you ask one of the parents who was there on time to wait with you. It's like defensive driving except with frisky teenage girls instead of cars. There are people far more qualified than me to speak to why girls make crap like that up. I just know that they do, and it scares the heck out of me. I have zero interest in getting in a situation like that and do everything I can to avoid it. If when a girl is really crushing on me, I always notice, but I have to pretend like it's not happening. Any acknowledgement is a potential problem. On a more personal note, I just don't find them attractive. When I first started teaching at 22, some seniors caught my eye, but I grew out of that super fast. They just look young, and holy crap do they act young. Women are hard enough to understand without adding the "I'm discovering myself and don't know how to handle my sexuality" layer. It's not attractive at all. Also, yuck, morally repugnant. Not the point of this thread, I know, but I felt like sharing. So, you make dang sure you're never in a position where there's no witnesses. That can't be stressed enough. Imo. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.